Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
We're finally here. The top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games or the national championship? Head over to BetOnline.AG on your desktop or mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to get started. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome to the Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash. I'm here with our former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
So, Eric, what were your thoughts on the game last night? I know a lot of people thought UNC had that game pretty easily at the way the first half went, but what did you think about Kansas' second half comeback?
I mean, they've made some, big halves, second halves like that, so you knew it was coming. I think the fact that they jumped out so early in the second half, it pretty much made an even game going down the stretch. And I think with Leaky Black getting in that early foul trouble, the big fella getting injured, it just kind of snowballed for North Carolina. They just couldn't quite get over the hump. I think if he stays out and maybe big fella doesn't get hurt, I think that they weather the storm. But it was just a bad combination. And Kansas was playing well, also made some big plays and big buckets in the end. So you have to give them credit as well.
You see the footage of that floorboard?
Of what's that?
Baycott's when he hurt his ankle, the floorboard was loose. You didn't see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they had a slow-mo. I saw it this morning. You could see it when he steps on it, the floorboard like jiggles a bit, and that's when he turns his ankle.
Wow, that's interesting.
That is crazy, man.
Wow.
That's crazy. What bad luck.
That's crazy. Yeah, ESPN or Fox Sports talked about this morning, so that's interesting. They're trying to keep that under wraps.
Sue them is what he should do.
Yeah.
Especially if he has like bad ligament damage on that ankle, because that's twice in 4 days he's done that to that same ankle. Oh,
that's unfortunate.
It's brutal.
But our guy Joel Embiid was pretty happy that his Kansas Jayhawks won last night. He was actually tweeting about it. So
I'm sure. Yeah, rightfully so.
There was a lot of Kansas guys in the game last night. So Paul Pierce was there, Mario Chalmers. But yeah, no, Joel Embiid was commenting on it, and then people were like saying, "Oh, well, now it's your turn to win MVP and then win the finals." So hopefully that does happen for our sake. But
yeah, I'll be happy about those two. I don't really care about Kansas.
Yeah, there with you. So over the weekend, our guys kind of bounced back. We had a little bit of a losing streak, but our guys kind of bounced back. We tied a franchise record in 3-point shots made in a win against Charlotte, dominating the game 144-114. And then we traveled to Cleveland to finish off our sweep of the Cavaliers for the first time in, I believe, about 10 years was the last time we swept the Cavaliers in a season series, winning 112-108. What were your all's takeaways from the games this weekend?
Well, I mean, I think what was most important, I think, is just winning the games. Like I said, we're still playing for a seed, but I just think we had to get that rhythm of winning some games. You won a road game against a playoff team. You got another team that's fighting for playoff position, and you beat them, and especially in the second half, you beat them handily. So I think that it was just important to get back on the winning side, get a little momentum that way, and I just think that helps the morale. It helps kind of build the momentum going into the playoffs. But I think, how they did it, it was pretty impressive, making the shooting the threes and shot the ball well, or then going in there and getting stops when you needed it as well. And just overall, the way the team played, and you really had a lot of chemistry. You had the chemistry that was flowing. You had guys, the ball was moving. They were making shots. I just think for the most part, guys felt good and looked good.
Yeah, Teja, what were your takeaways? I know you were talking about Tobias tearing it up on against Charlotte. What were your takeaways for the whole weekend?
Not much to say from the Charlotte game other than bombs away. We just couldn't miss. And we've been on the receiving end of that against a few teams. So it was nice to finally be the team that just couldn't miss a 3-pointer all game. It was nice to see us take a lead and keep going with it. I like seeing that rather than just let them come back in the game. We were only up 5 at halftime, but we ended up completely pulling away in the second half, which was nice to see. So I looked it up. We're 37-16 when we win the fourth quarter. So that's an interesting stat, I thought. So it was nice to just see us keep dominating and not let up a lead. Cleveland, I think we won partly because of Embiid's in the paint defense was out of control. He was all over the place. And our free throws, we made 4 more free throws than they attempted in the game. So I'm not completely shocked by, Bickerstaff's disgruntled comments about the refereeing. I personally didn't see a lot of bad calls, but what do you expect when you have Markkanen on Embiid, half the night? That's not going to go well for anybody. Some negatives. Maxey struggled a bit. He's been struggling a little bit lately, but again, as Eric said a million times, these guys just aren't getting a lot of shots. But he's failed to reach 20 in 6 of his last games. He has been shooting well from 3, and then Tobias struggled offensively. But I love Tobias's defense lately, man. He's been all over the floor. He's been such a versatile defender. He's guarding guys like LeVert, and then he's guarding Markkanen. I've seen him play against smaller 5s. I mean, not that it's a good matchup for him, but he can hold his own against a lot of different kind of players, which is nice to see, and we're going to need that in the playoffs big time.
Yeah. What were Bickerstaff's comments after the game on Sunday? I don't think I caught that.
He said pretty much, he complained. I don't know if he got fined already, but he's going to be. He basically complained and said, it's not basketball. It's not fair. The refs took this away from us. I don't usually say it, but this time the refs took this away, and that Embiid and Harden manipulate the rules to go to the foul line a lot, and it just shouldn't be happening.
Eric, what do you think about that?
I think that, whenever guys take that many free throws, I don't think this is anything new. Coaches complain about free throws has been going on for a while. So that's as long as my whole career, and I'm sure before me, you always had teams that shot more free throws. So, I've played in games where our team has shot more than the other, made more than the other team have attempted, and vice versa. Like, I've been in those games, and the one common thread is the fact that usually when someone is saying something, they're making a complaint about a team, is usually some pretty good players or some star players on the other end. So that's the one common thread, is that you have guys that are really good and really good at getting to the free throw line. So I think it's a combination of those guys trying to work the referees or work the system to maybe get those calls the next game. And I think they have a legitimate gripe, but at the same time, we have 2 guys that are really good, and they're really good at getting through the free throw line, and their career says it. Their career says that they can get to the free throw line. Now you just happen to have them both on the same team.
I would have thought it would have been more odd if all of a sudden Harden came here and they stopped calling fouls against one or the other, because like you said, their entire career, Embiid's gone to the free throw line a lot. His entire career, Harden's gone to the free throw line a lot. So just because they're on the same team doesn't mean you have to call the games differently. You call it as it is. They get fouled a lot, they get fouled a lot, and they do. And even watching the games, I see a lot more of opportunities where Embiid gets hit hard or Harden gets hit hard driving to the rim. So I'm sure it's frustrating as an opposing fan, but they are getting fouled. Move your feet, play defense.
Would it be an issue if those fouls were spread amongst other people on the team? Still fouls.
Yeah.
I think it brings but you're right. You're right though. I think it brings a larger light when it's like 2 guys shooting more than our entire team, right? But they also have the ball 90% of the game, so that's why.
That's the one thing a referee. Remember Joey Crawford them telling me, he's like, hey, the reason why the star players get more fouls is because they usually have the ball more.
Yeah. And we establish how ball dominant Harden is, and we know Embiid has the ball in the low post a lot.
They get fouled more. And like I said, they're good at creating fouls. That's a skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Harden, It's weird because Embiid, he mixes it up. Like he goes to his foul creating mode on, the rip throughs and stuff. But then other times he has kind of the Shaq. It's like, I'm going to bulldoze into your chest under the hoop, and you're going to have to either foul me to stop me, or you're going to have to block my shot. So you have two choices.
I mean,
that's it.
It's a skill to initiate the contact, still be able to control the ball, still be able to make a move. And you pretty much put the referees in the position to make a call. Some people shy away from that. Some people are very forceful at that. I mean, you get a guy like Trae Young who's really good at, getting fouls, and it's just guys that they just have a knack for it. And we just happen to have two.
Yeah. I gotta say though, I wish Harden played through it a little more. It seems like he really sells the foul and does the whole arm out thing a lot.
Yeah.
I know you got contact and you want to sell it, but at the risk of getting a turnover if they don't call it, I'd wish you just hold on to the ball and try to get a decent shot off instead of just dropping the ball sometimes.
I believe that James probably does more, but Joel does the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they both do it. I mean, so if you got that knack to get those fouls, you're trying to draw those fouls, you're going to have those cases where they don't call anything.
Yeah.
That's going to happen if, in order for them to continue to get to the line the way they're getting it at that rate, you're going to have some of those instances where they do not make the call.
Unfortunately, more so in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the issue in the playoffs is going to be more so in the playoffs, but also if those possessions are cut down, you got to be careful with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Usually in the playoffs, the possessions are, smaller or shorter. Smaller rather, because of, the game, people aren't taking as many quick shots as they would during the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually looking at there was a stat I saw last week because Embiid he was on JJ Redick's podcast, and he mentioned that he actually averages more free throws per game in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. So because he said people keep talking about it's not going to happen when I get to the playoffs, but I actually average more free throws per game in the playoffs than I do.
Did he average more minutes?
I think so. I mean, yeah,
probably,
I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean that could matter. That could matter. You have more minutes, you can have more possessions, and
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well, hopefully that trend continues because we're gonna need those free throw attempts. So the next topic. So not only did JB Bickerstaff have comments after the game, Joel Embiid also had comments after the game on Sunday. When Joel was asked about what it will mean for him if he doesn't win the MVP, he was quoted as saying, "If it doesn't happen, I don't know what I have to do. I feel like they hate me. I feel like the standard for guys in Philly or for me is different than everyone else." So, Eric, being a former 76ers point guard, do you feel like the national media has a different standard for Philadelphia players, or is it just Embiid and him being a part of the process?
I'm not sure. I don't think they have a different standard for Sixers players. I mean, I was there when a Sixer player won the MVP. I just think you have a criteria issue. You have so many different voters that think differently, you see it differently, and there's no set criteria. So I don't have I hope he can win it, but I'm not certain. I just think that with Giannis and Jokic and Joel, I just think it's going to be a very close race, and those votes are going to split. It's going to come down to who gets the most first place. You may have some people that get first place and get fourth place by someone else. So I think it's going to be really, really close. And I just think the fact that you got 3 or 4 guys that's really, really fighting, you never know how people are rating them. They may like one of them at number 1, but who do they like at 2? Who do they like at 3? Or do somebody else, jump in that top 3? I think it's going to come down to the second place, third place votes as well, getting guys more points. And because I can't say that one guy's going to dominate the number 1 vote. I just don't see how they can do it without a criteria, because I've talked to so many people and seen a lot of people, and it's like unanimous of how different people see it. Like I have not had anyone say, yes, it's a lock that Joel's going to get it. If anyone was a lock, I've heard more people say, Jokic will get it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because at each poll, straw vote, it was different each time. It was a different number one each time. So it's just like right now, like what is the criteria that, because when Russell Westbrook won the MVP and his team wasn't a top 4 seed, it was an issue because of where his team was ranked. But now it's not an issue where a team is ranked. It's just like, just wondering, like, what is it all about?
Yeah.
Because, you say stats and stats matter, but we had a guy win MVP with stats and then they say he was stat padded. Like, it's really confusing on the voting and we don't really know how people vote. So it could be personal, who they like personally. Like, I think it's a little flawed. So you just never know.
When it's so skewed like that, does it just become a popularity contest at that point? Like who you know what? It's so close. I just like Jokic better.
I mean, it's a popularity and, familiar. I mean, someone that sees a player, maybe he's on the West Coast or he sees a certain player in person more than another player.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to feel a certain way maybe about that guy or who talks to him more. Like, I don't know. That's just from a media standpoint. Other players or whoever gets voted. I don't even know who does all the voting, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of it's so close. I think you got to really, really watch a lot of games to really get a feel for it. And I don't know if that's the case. I can't say I don't think. I just don't know if that's the case. If people are truly into right now with so many games, just watching those particular players each game. And not necessarily a national TV game, but you got to really be digested into what they're doing because you can't just look at box scores or look at stats in this particular vote. And I think when you're voting for your top 5, it's if winning matters, then a guy like Devin Booker should be in there.
Yeah.
If winning isn't as important is not that important, then you'll pull somebody up to maybe just a 6 seed with 6 or 7 seed with players out. I don't know.
Do you think winning one in the past?
I to see Joel get it, but I do not have I can't say I don't have a bad feeling, but I have I don't know feeling.
Do you think winning an MVP in the past works for or against you at all, or doesn't matter?
Oh, I think it works against you.
You think it works against you to already have one?
Yes. Especially if you've had in Giannis' case, you've had multiple.
And then Jokic
because if you can correct me if I'm right, but I believe Giannis's numbers this year may even be better than they were previously.
Yeah.
Certain numbers are. I believe his turnovers are up. I think his free throw percentage is up. I think his points are up.
Yeah. So I mean, he in some ways he's better. And if you watch him play, right? What you see with your eyes, you see a better player.
Yeah.
What I see, you know what I'm saying? So I see a better player now than then.
That would work for him though, right? Because they're like, oh, we gave it to him when he was
just saying you would think it does, but the fact that he's sort of that MVP fatigue because he's already won, the hype isn't really there.
Yeah.
And that's when you had, Coach Malone talking about Jokic should be the clear MVP, but since he won MVP last year, nobody's not talking about it. That's sort of MVP fatigue. So, but should that be knocked? And then a guy that like Jordan never won it, should the hype be there? And that's why it's kind of interesting that you don't, like in the past, winning seemed to always be a part of it.
A bigger part of it.
Because it's not always the best player. It's just who was particularly that MVP that year, but it's maybe not the best particular player in the league, or another player may be better, but who's most valuable? How you see it? Most valuable player to a team, best player. How would you vote?
It's strange because Embiid and Jokic it was pretty close last year. But the thing that they gave it to Jokic, and I remember hearing analysts, I don't know what they actually did in the end, but they said a lot of it was the amount of time Joel missed. That was like the biggest thing that worked against him. Jokic did it, but he's available every night. But
that was the reason why I felt he wouldn't get it because of the time that he missed last year.
but he's already played more games this year than he did last year, so we can scratch that off the list, right? So he played, and his stats are better. Like he's up 1 rebound, he's up 2 points, he's up 2 assists, he has more steals and blocks, same amount of turnovers, and playing more minutes and playing every night. So if he improved, if a guy who almost won last year, who got rid of his own negative aspect, which was games played, and he's up almost every single statistic, and he dealt with the Ben Simmons thing. Like, I just don't I'm probably thinking what he's thinking. It's like, I mean, dude, like what the hell can I do here? Like, I don't get it. I don't think anyone else dealt with the amount of drama we dealt with as a team, and he held it together and played even better. And we played almost just the same as we did last year as far as our standing. We're right there. And that stat that everyone keeps talking about with the 40 points and 10 rebound games, only 2 people in the history have done it more than him in the season, Moses Malone and Westbrook. Shocker, they both won MVP those years. So it's just, man, it's hard. I mean, as a Philly aspect, to what he's saying, I'm personally not a fan. I know, Marcus, you're not either. We're not a fan of all Philly sports. We're just Sixer fans. Don't hate us. But it's weird when you're a Sixer fan, you get exposed to a kind of like the overall Philly hate that, the players and the fans feel like they get from national media and national fans. So I do understand that a little bit. I feel that, even though I'm not fully involved with the Philly sports, just Sixers. So maybe he's talking about that, or, I mean, the process was hated by a lot of people, and a lot of those people do have votes. They always kind of like, always talks about it. Stan Van Gundy always talks about it, about being very anti the process, and you can still hear it in his voice. He's still very anti like us winning, because no one likes being wrong, right? So if we ever do win with this current, Embiid era, the process did work. And a lot of people have to eat crow and say, all right, I was wrong, but they don't want to do that. So I almost feel like a part of them wants to keep it down, so they don't have to.
I mean, like with the process, I don't necessarily see it like that as far as the process, because I think that a lot was gained, but a lot was lost.
Yeah.
You from that quote unquote process, who's left over?
It's pretty much, I mean, Joel.
Yeah, so
he is the process.
So I think it's a totally different time and totally different players. I just think it was a situation to get picks, but most of those guys aren't there.
Yeah.
I think if Ben was still there, you can kind of say, you got 2 all-stars that are there, top picks, and you don't really get those consecutively like that.
I guess you can make an argument and say Maxey, we got him through like process, like trading in picks and whatnot. He kind of came in, but he's not true process.
I mean, but you can also see, he wasn't like a top pick.
No, that's true.
I think that when people are looking at that, they're looking at, you're not going to tank for a later pick. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Sort of quote unquote tanking to get top picks and all of that. So who's left from that is just Joel.
Yep.
I mean, you had draft picks and stuff like that you were able to move and get pieces, but I think the way they are now, that could have taken place without a lot of the quote unquote process taking place.
Yeah, and the process way of doing things is so accepted now. It's not what I mean. It's crazy you say times have changed in those 5, 6, 7 years. But look, I mean, Sam Presti's praised for doing the same thing the Sixers did, which is just benching players who can help you win, get more picks, and tank and take on bad contracts for money and picks. So a lot's changed in those years.
Yeah.
Collecting assets. I was going to say one more thing about the whole Embiid situation. I did want to ask this because I was watching Undisputed, and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp said that with Joel making those comments that if he doesn't win, that the media hates him. Does that work against him? They're saying he can kiss the MVP goodbye after saying a quote like that. Would that work against him in a way, or you don't think that would even phase them?
I don't think it helps people like him. Yeah. I would think that they're professional enough to still do their job and pick who they honestly think is the MVP. But I don't think it necessarily helps them.
Yeah, Bill Simmons and Russillo were saying yesterday on their show that they can't stand the lobbying for votes. They think it totally works against them. It makes them not like the player. And they say pretty much, it's like telling me I'm an idiot.
That's what I say. Yeah, I don't think it helps them at all.
Yeah, it's like telling me I'm an idiot and I don't know who to pick. Like, I need you to tell me who to pick. I don't do it. It's not working. It's not helping you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, talk about media. I think the media overall likes Embiid. He's a fun guy. Everyone's always talking about anything he does, whether it's Twitter in the past or anything. He's always a topic of some sort. They love him. He's a more marketable player than Jokic. And Giannis. I mean, he's got with the Hulu, he's got Coke commercials. He's got more going on than the other guys do. So I mean, I wouldn't say he is hated by the media. I think that's a different different kind of narrative to put out there. So I hope.
Yeah, I don't think he's hated by media.
Yeah, I hope it's not impacting his vote. So we'll see. We have a good stretch run of not the best teams, but outside of Toronto, the teams we play over the next 4 games aren't the best teams. So he could pad his stats and get back up in that conversation, take out Jokic. Yep. So we'll see. But final topic tonight, game predictions. We have 4 games left. The Sixers are still in between first place and 4th place right now. So we can pretty much create our own narrative based on how we finish the season off here. So we could be a 1 seed. But in order to do that, we got to travel to Indiana tonight to take on the Pacers. Pacers aren't world beaters by any means, but any given night. We're currently a 12.5 point favorite going into Indiana. Who do you guys have and why tonight?
I mean, I think we'll get the win. I don't think we cover the spread. I think they'll play us closer and make some shots. I think we'll pull out the victory. I just think that Joel and those guys and kind of feeling determined. We keep our foot on the gas and we keep winning. But I do not think it's going to be easy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I looked at a bunch of the spreads today, and a lot of the playoff versus non-playoff teams are like huge. I think Brooklyn's like a 17-point favorite. And we're one of those double-digit ones, but we're one of the lower double-digit ones, I will say. So maybe Vegas is trying to entice you to take Philly. But I think they'll keep it close. I think we'll let them back in the game, or we'll keep it in that 8-12 range. I think we win by like 9-10. But I don't think we cover, but I do think we win. And hey, I hope we kill them, get our guys some rest, man. Like, get them out of the game and let them, let Embiid get his stats and let them gel a little bit, but then, take them out if you can, rest them. I mean, we need to start thinking about that.
Yeah. Especially
with Embiid starting to get a lot of lower leg injuries, and he's starting to kind of, he's leaning over a lot during games and holding the ankle. And, I don't want him to, step on a loose floorboard and hurt his ankle or anything.
Yeah, it's not going to wood for that. But as you know me, I'll say buy points, take it -5.5. Not bad.
Buy some points.
Buy some points, yeah. Yep. But that does it for us, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers, presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys on Friday as we talk about the remaining 2 games and also obviously where our seeding is and maybe little predictions on the play-in games that will take place from April 12th to April 15th before the first round begins. So,
ooh, boy, it's coming.
We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good night, guys.
All right, guys.